Good evening, this is Eswatini-TV News at 8. I am Netsile Sitole alongside Nomakabiso Nkambule. First up, let's have a look at our top stories. The Prime Minister has officially opened a hall worth over 3 million emalangeni at Somjalose High School that was seen to completion by the government. The Deputy Prime Minister's office is sensitizing its Senior Portfolio Committee on the regulations of the Children's Protection and Welfare Act of 2012. Eswatini and Mozambique seek to review the 1976 water sharing agreement to accommodate challenges inflicted by climate change. Glad you could join us. The Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, says government is committed to giving learners quality education, and this is the reason why comprehensive support is given to schools. The Prime Minister was represented by the Minister of Education, Lady Howard, during the official opening of a hall worth over 3 million emalangeni at Somjalose High School in Eswatini, where government contributed towards its completion.
The Minister of Education, Lady Howard, who was representing the Prime Minister, Cleopas Dlamini, during the event, says the school hall will help the learners meet their academic needs as they will be able to use it to study. The Minister says different stakeholders contributed to the completion of the hall, which cost around 3 million emalangeni.
Kule sikolo lokuthi baze bafike la kuthenini bakhe lihola lelihle kangaka futhi lelikhulu kangaka njengoba nje nabo basikolo lesikhulu siyajabula silitiko ukuthi sithikhanze siyincenyela umsebenzi lona lihola lona libite tigitsi letingetulo kwemetigitsi letinzathu ahulumende ufakile isandla ngeunit yakhe yaka micro projects.
The principal Makanda Mamba says they have about 800 learners in the school. He states that the hall will be used for external examinations, amongst other things.
Bantu bethu seba bo 850 nakubhalwa i-exam bo form 5 baba bo 200 and something kude le class lengaba accommodate na form 3 wethu uyendlula 200 nababhala, so lelo hola ke liyasita nakubhalwa ama external examinations.
The minister says government will continue to support the school in different aspects, as well as all the schools around the country, to ensure academic excellence. For Eswatini-TV News, Nelson Ngamanda with Themba Shabangu, Zuluini.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office is currently sensitizing its Senior Portfolio Committee on the Children's Protection and Welfare Act of 2012 regulations. Speaking during the workshop at Hilton Garden Inn in Mbabane, the Deputy Prime Minister, Themba Masuku, says having these regulations passed in Parliament will ensure that his office fully implements the Act for the full benefit of children in the country.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Themba Masuku, says the Children's Protection and Welfare Act of 2012 regulations will ensure government fully implements the Act to safeguard children from violence, exploitation, abuse and neglect.
Within the next few weeks, we will kick off the adoption. There's pressure, people want to adopt. Even in my own office, the ministry, if you want to call the DPM's office a ministry, there are people who are saying, DPMs, if we not adopt, and there are those I meet in church, they want to adopt. There are those we meet in the streets, they talk to me about adoption. And I find this very important that when we look at the regulations, we can then allow this. Just in my last report to Parliament, we found that there were about 45 children who had been abandoned.
United Nations Children's Fund country representative Amina Mohammed says more still needs to be done to improve the welfare of children in the country.
We want to strengthen the partnership. It shouldn't end by enacting laws and policies, but ensuring that we work together to push the buttons that are needed to be pushed within the society, within the kingdom, bringing in all the partners that we can work with, and these include the private sector, the parents, the children themselves.
The Deputy Prime Minister says the regulations give guidelines on the children in conflict and contact with the law, as well as care facilities, amongst other issues. For Eswatini-TV News, Nelson Ngamanda with Themba Shabangu, Mbabane.
The Deputy Prime Minister's office notifies the elderly and persons with disabilities about a cybersecurity sensitization exercise that will be conducted by the Eswatini Communications Commission in collaboration with the Deputy Prime Minister's office. Through this exercise, the DPM's office will also do a verification of all those who receive grants from government in preparation for the disbursement of grants monthly. All grants recipients are encouraged to bring their national identity cards. The exercise will start in the Eswatini region in the following chiefdoms. On the 4th of November, it's Ngonga, Maplotini, Phangweni and Vimbizibuko chiefdoms. On the 7th of November, it's Nsalije, Kwaluseni, Bambije and Dinabanye chiefdoms. On the 8th of November, it's Mabonabulawe, Manyanzeni, Mchinsweni and Dumenkungwini chiefdoms. On the 9th, it's Zikoteni, Ngwenyameni and Gaho. On the 10th, it's Mambondweni, Bulegeni, Gashiba and Kungwini chiefdoms. Finally, on the 11th of November, it's Vusweni, Simemeni and Masibini chiefdoms. Eswatini and Mozambique are working to review the 1976 water sharing agreement to accommodate the challenges brought by climate change. The Minister of Agriculture, Eswatini-Mozambique, highlighted this when welcoming the Minister of Public Works, Housing and Water Resources, Carlos Mosquita, and his delegation who are in the country to strengthen cooperation between the two countries on matters of shared river basins.
Eswatini and Mozambique are solidifying the relations that exist between the two countries, especially on matters of shared river basins. The Minister of Agriculture, Eswatini-Mozambique, has welcomed the Minister of Public Works, Housing and Water Resources, Carlos Mosquita from Mozambique, and his delegation to the country.
I've been made aware, Honourable Minister, about the 1976 water sharing agreement that exists between our countries, and also some of the gaps and the reasons that necessitated the need to review the agreement. The agreement indeed needs to be reviewed to cover new emerging issues such as climate change, improving information sharing, and also determine water development projects that can be done.
The Minister of Public Works, Housing and Water Resources in Mozambique, Carlos Mosquita, emphasizes the importance of collaboration on water affairs.
E foi com muito prazer que pude revê-lo e saber que está a desempenhar de forma cumulativa esta função, para o qual desejo desde já sucesso redobrado.
The Minister of Agriculture, Eswatini-Mozambique, says the collaboration between the two countries will be guided by the regional instruments and the Southern Africa Development Community's protocols on shared water causes. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Langamandla with Themba Shabangu, Zulwini.
The Minister for Agriculture, Eswatini-Mozambique, says the ministry continues to make great efforts to support local women farmers as part of its goals and increase the contribution of agriculture to economic development, reduce rural poverty, and improve food and nutrition security. The minister was speaking during the Women Farmer Competition 2022 award ceremony.
The 2022 Women Farmer Competition marked the 15th edition of the competition since its inception. Speaking during the awarding ceremony, the Minister for Agriculture, Eswatini-Mozambique, says the ministry recognizes the value of the role women and organizations such as the Women Farmer Foundation play towards achieving food security. Mabuse says it is in recognizing and leveraging these collaborative efforts can assist in overcoming challenges faced by farmers across the country and the challenges unique to women farmers.
Nalo liyanisupporta kakhulu sidimisele nekuqhubeka sinisupporte futhi siqhubeke futhi sitigcabe ngani nalapho kufanele sikhulume ngani khona.
The winners commends the ministry's support. Matanda Sikonze walked away with prizes worth 57,000 emalangeni under the youth category, while Nomsam Gometulu received prizes worth 125,000 emalangeni under the women category. Both farmers acknowledged that hard work indeed pays. The NAMPOD CEO, Bhekizwe Mazia, on behalf of sponsors, stated that women and girls need organizations that will rally behind them in order for them to produce and encourage other women to join the agricultural sector. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangi Mbongwa Dube, Sitfo Godfo.
In a statement by the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of Home Affairs notifies the public that the ministry's head offices in Babane, Justice Building, will on Friday, the 4th of November 2022, close earlier at 2 p.m. for fumigation purposes. The offices are expected to resume normal operations on Monday, the 7th of November 2022. Any inconvenience caused by this sudden change is deeply regretted. Representatives from 55 countries under the African Union converged at Mountain View on Thursday, where they had a consultative forum for the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The purpose of the forum is the development of the National Implementation Strategy and Action Plan. We have a report.
The African Continental Free Trade Area will bring together an extended market comprising the 55 members of the African Union with a combined population of more than 1.3 billion people and a combined gross domestic product of 3.4 trillion US dollars. The principal secretary for the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, who was represented by Under-Secretary Cebile Nhlabathi, says it is without a doubt that Eswatini will reap huge benefits economically from the agreement.
It is important to have those trade relations with other countries and also ensure that whatever trade relations we have are of mutual benefit to all those involved. So the African Continental Free Trade Area is one such initiative that allows countries, the 55 countries, to have those negotiations and agree on how best they can implement trade between themselves.
Batanai Chikwene from the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa says it is important to note that the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is not self-executing.
There are a number of issues that are important. The government needs to come up with a coordination mechanism that brings together the key players, the private sector, the government itself, other trade promotion agencies within Eswatini.
Studies suggest that if successful, Africa's manufacturing sector will double in size, with annual output increasing from 500 billion US dollars in 2015 to 1 trillion US dollars in 2025. Sifiso Ngumalo for Eswatini TV News, Mountain View, Mbabane.
The African Wildlife Foundation's Chief Executive Officer Kadu Kiwe Sebunya says Africans can learn a lot from the strong connection between culture and conservation in Eswatini. Sebunya was speaking during his tour of the Mandinga Cultural Village.
The Chief Executive Officer of the African Wildlife Foundation continued to tour different conservation areas in the kingdom. Speaking during his tour at the Mandinga Cultural Village, Kandu Kiwe Sibunya says that Eswatini has a very rich culture that Africans can be able to identify themselves with.
All of us as Africans, we can learn a lot from what we are trying to do here. It's a big plan for the government, the people of Eswatini, but it's exciting that the country is taking on all this effort to connect people, conservation and development, and that is how the future of Africa looks like.
The CEO is expected to conclude his official visit on Thursday. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni Mbongwa Dube, Ezulwini.
The Director for Career Guidance in the Ministry of Education, Lindiwe Dlamini, says incorporating issues of gender in the local curriculum will ensure that girls and boys get the same support when it comes to different career paths. Dlamini was speaking during an engagement session with curriculum designers. Let's have a look.
The Ministry of Education continues to meet different stakeholders and curriculum designers in an effort to integrate gender issues in education curriculum. The Director for Career Guidance and Counseling in the Ministry of Education, Lindiwe Dlamini, says there are gaps that have been identified that shows that the boy child lag behind in terms of support and empowerment. Dlamini says most pupils were lost during the era of COVID-19 as some were forced to child labor. Dlamini says girls and boys require the same support when it comes to education and career paths.
Lamakhaya asikaqini in terms of discipline sekathela wayeka sekude lokho ukuthi kujubeleke imikhakha kube nemithetho lebekiwe bese ukhanza ke ukuthi banfana sebendala udlame etikolweni.
The Ministry of Education met with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy to see how best can energy sector be incorporated in the local curriculum. This engagement meeting is in line with Sustainable Development Goal number 5 that encourages equality. For Eswatini TV News Sondomlangeni, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
And now let's have a look at our financial markets.
Standard Bank, it can be.
Moving on, we'll have a look at our sports news. Royal Leopard Football Club spokesperson Frank Rube says the team has begun preparations for the second leg of their CAF Confederations Cup encounter to be staged in Mali against AS Real Bamako next week, Wednesday. Rube says the team needs around 1 million emalangeni to honor this match. On home soil, Leopard played a 1-1 draw at Somhlolo National Stadium on Wednesday.
Having played a 1-1 draw against AS Real Bamako from Mali on home soil in the CAF Confederations Cup at the Somhlolo National Stadium on Wednesday, the Chief Executive Officer of Royal Leopard, Frank Rube, says preparations for the second leg in Mali have begun, with the costs ranging around 1 million emalangeni.
Sishadana bude imali kakhulukazi imali eyamathikithi kakhulukazi imali yako bulala le ikakhulukazi imali ndawusho imali allowances ngoba as you go with the boys you need to incentivize them khona ufuna ukuthi ubaphe kona ubanike kona batawuphakama especially sitawuphakama so siyacela iziveni semaswati siyacela etinkampanini siyacela kuma individuals kulo mdlalo nje Fabrice nasubala imali yato tindiza lokusuka la ngoba nangabe kuhambe kahle tindlela sawusebenzisa indiza etimbili khona Daka Sky khona Daka Ethiopian Airlines uma ke kuhambe kana uthi buka tonke letindiza ti range ku 600,000-700,000.
The game will be played in Bamako, Mali on Wednesday, and Leopard will either need to win the game or play a draw of 2 goals or more in order to proceed to the group stages of the tournament. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msondera, Mbabane.
Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Russian Boxing Federation. The MOU will allow local boxer Thabiso Dlamini to train in Moscow for a duration of 12 months in preparation for the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association's Chief Executive Officer Maxwell Jalim signed the agreement on behalf of Eswatini, while Russian Boxing Federation Secretary General Tatiana Kirienko signed on behalf of the Russian Boxing Federation. Present to witness the signing were International Boxing Association Board of Directors member Pearl Dlamini and boxer Thabiso Dlamini. The Momo Cup semi-finals and finals will be played on Sunday, the 6th of November at the Somhlolo National Stadium. The first game of the day will see Nsingzini Hotspurs taking on Rangers at 9 a.m., while in the second game, Monini Pirates will entertain Babane Highlanders. The finals are slated for 3 p.m. That's all for now. Before we go, let's have a look at our top stories. The Prime Minister has officially opened a hall worth over 3 million emalangeni at Somjalose High School that was sent to completion by the government. The Deputy Prime Minister's office is sensitizing its Senior Portfolio Committee on the regulations of the Children's Protection and Welfare Act of 2012. Eswatini and Mozambique seek to review the 1976 water sharing agreement to accommodate challenges inflicted by climate change. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the update from myself and the team. Thank you for your company. Good night.
And you came to me like a bird to the breeze, and we floated together for a while.
We're for every kind of smile and amazing savings. Like Bokoma Wheat Bix for only $46.99 and Colgate toothpaste for just $19.99. Spa, we're for smiles.